Scipuli. In this video, I want to briefly go through a simplified version of Millionaire's Dinner Party, Chapter 5. As we open, we recall that Trimalchio has returned to the dinner table and given a rather inappropriate explanation to his guests for his absence. Apparently, he'd been constipated. He had had to excuse himself and go to the washroom, take a quick dose of medicine, a little bit of pomegranate rind to clear himself out, and now he's returned. And he has explained in rather more detail than we needed, a case of too much information, why he was gone. We pick up with a quick ablative absolute. We can see this in convivis bibentibus, the noun conviva in the ablative plural, along with the present active participle of bibo. So with the guests drinking, or as the guests were drinking, what happened? Tres albi suis, 3 white pigs, 3 white sows. Adducti sunt, were led. The third person plural perfect passive of adduco were led into the dining room. So as the guests were drinking, tres albi suis, 3 white pigs, in triclinium adducti sunt, were led into the dining room. Now, in the Roman world, there were plenty of trained animal acts, much the way we see on variety shows, dogs jumping through hoops of fire, or lion tamers at the circus, this kind of thing. Animals trained to do tricks for our entertainment. And this is what our narrator, Encolpius, assumes that the purpose of these pigs are. We've seen lots and lots and lots of kind of dinner entertainment at the party so far. And what he tells us is that, ego putabam, I was thinking that eos, that they, the antecedent of eos, being the pigs, that the pigs, facturos esse, a future infinitive in indirect statement. So I was thinking that the pigs were going to do, I thought the pigs to be going to do portenta, tricks. He thought that these were trained pigs and that they would be doing something kind of goofy for the entertainment of the guests. But we find out differently. Trimalchio tamen, Trimalchio nevertheless, cum cocum vocarius sisset, when he had called, note the pluperfect subjunctive here, when he had ordered, the cocum, the cook, vocari, the present passive infinitive, when he'd ordered that the cook be called, or when he ordered the cook to be called, he imperavit, he ordered, and then what did he order? We have ut introducing an indirect command, that the maximus e porcus, that the biggest of the pigs, literally the biggest, the greatest from the pigs, he ordered that it, note the passive, be slaughtered, be killed, in canum, here a phrase meaning for dinner, statum, immediately. We find out that Trimalchio, non diu collocatus erat cum Agamemnone. So we find out that Trimalchio had not conversed, had not been talking. Note the pluperfect of this deponent verb colloquor. So Trimalchio had not been talking diu, long, cum Agamemnone, with Agamemnon. Here's a case where cum means with. We can tell that by the ablative ending on Agamemnone. So Trimalchio had not been talking long with Agamemnon. Cum, another cum, this one meaning when. Again, I know this because the verb is in the indicative mood. And cum, when accompanied by a verb in the indicative mood, always means when. Trimalchio had not been talking long with Agamemnon when a repositorium ingens alatum est, when an ingens repositorium, a huge platter, a huge dish, alatum est, was ad ferod, was brought in quo, referring back to the prepositorium, on which Yakebat was lying. This is not throwing, this is Yakeo with an E, meaning to lie, on which was lying a porcus, a pig. Nobis celeritatem marantibus, another ablative absolute. Here the pronoun in the ablative is nobis, us. So with us mirroring, with us wondering, they're absolutely taken aback by the speed. So with us wondering at the speed with which apparently the pig had been cooked, Tromokio into a batur. He was intuaoring, again a deponent verb. He was gazing at the pig. So the guests are marveling that this pig could have been cooked so quickly. And Tromokio, in the meantime, is taking a very close look at the pig. And then he said, he being Tromokio, quid? What? What's this? Porcus hic, this porcus, non est ex interatus? This pig hasn't been gutted? Non me Hercule est. No, by God, it isn't. Woca cocum. Note the two imperatives of woco vocare. Call the cook. Then we have another cum. Here it means when. I can tell that there's no tamen, so it can't mean all those. So this is when or because. It is with a pluperfect subjunctive. And then cum with a pluperfect subjunctive will almost always mean when. So when the cocus tristis, the sad cook, constatisset, had taken his stand, had stood ad mensam at the table, and diceret, note the imperfect subjunctive, when the cook had stood and when he was saying. And after this verb of the head, after diceret, we get the accusative say plus the deponent infinitive oblitum esse from obliviscor, the perfect and here deponent infinitive, so though it's passive in form, it will be translated actively. When the sad cook had stood at the table and was saying that he oblitum esse had forgotten ex interare to gut the porcum, to gut the pig, Tromokio, again, inquit, said, quid oblitus? What? Oblitus? You forgot? Nequissimus est servus. You're a completely worthless servant. Qui, and here the relative pronouns antecedent is servus. You're a nequissimus est servus. You're a completely worthless slave who ought to receive, who should receive, centum plagas, 100 lashes. So this sounds pretty brutal, but we remember that this is all dinner theater. Tromokio has set this up, but we find out he goes on to say, but quia, which means since, tam male memoria est, and this should say s, not est, since you are, and then this genitive in male memoria, a genitive characteristic, since you are of such bad memory. Tromokio says, since you have such a bad memory, ex intera, another imperative, ex intera illum, meaning the porcum, gut him, palem, openly, nobis, for us. Gut him right here as we watch. So to go through the whole thing, convivis bibentibus, as the guests were drinking, tres albes sues in triclinium adducti sunt. 3 white pigs, adducti sunt, were led in triclinium into the dining room. Ego putavam meas portenta facturos esse. I was thinking that they would do some tricks. Tromokio autem, but Tromokio, cum cocum vocari usiset, when he had ordered the cook to be summoned, imperavit, he ordered that he slaughtered he slaughtered the biggest of the pigs in Canaan for dinner immediately. Trimalchio cum Agamemnone non dio colocutus. Trimalchio hadn't conversed long with Agamemnon, cum repositorium ingens alatum est, in quo jacebat porcus, when a huge platter was carried in, on which was lying a pig. Nobis celeritatem erantibus, as we marveled at the speed and understanding the speed with which this pig had been cooked. Trimalchio was gazing closely. He was gazing intently at the porcum, at the pig. And then he said, quid, what's this? What's going on here? Porcus hic non est ex interatus? This pig hasn't been gutted? Non me Hercule est. No, by God, it isn't. Woca cocum. Call the cook. And we find out that when the cocus tristis, when the sad cook had stood at the table and was saying that he, oblitum esse, had forgotten to gut the pig, Trimalchio said, quid oblitus? What? Forgot? Nequissimus est servus. You're the worst slave. Qui debes centum plagas accipere. And you deserve 100 lashes. But then he backs off with a smile. But since S, and again reminding you that this S is a typo, it should simply say S. But since you are of so bad a memory, since you have such a bad memory, palem nobis illum ex intera, gut him openly for us. So that is a quick review of our rather simplified text of Millionaire's Dinner Party, Chapter 5. Hope that's been helpful.